The construction or lack thereof, really, of this new White House ballroom is quickly becoming not only a global humiliation, but it's also becoming a financial disaster. And it's becoming embarrassing for Americans who now look at Washington, D.C. and see a demolished part of the White House and a stalled construction. So let me tell you what is going on. We've been covering over the last 6 months, really in Trump's second term, how Trump is increasingly obsessed with legacy. How is he going to be seen? What sort of permanent marks can he make on the country, on Washington, D.C.? They might be metaphorical marks. They might be legislative or political marks, and they might quite literally be construction. Like, how do I change the White House? Trump has turned the White House into a construction disaster zone and is struggling to find an architect willing to finish the job. Now, I told you that there was a stall in the project. The entire thing started when Trump demolished the East Wing with no real plan, no public review, no respect for the fact that this is one of the most historically significant buildings in the country. And the relevance and the timing of all of this is that the total demolition has happened and the project now appears to be at a standstill. We have images of what's going on at the White House at this point in time. Trump has been insisting on building this 90,000 square foot ballroom that would be so big that it would dwarf the actual executive residence. And the architect that he had chosen, James McCrary II, said this doesn't work. This doesn't work. In addition to the obvious, an addition is not supposed to overshadow the building that it's attached to. Trump didn't like hearing that, as he doesn't when somebody tells him no. And he said to McCrary, bye-bye, you are gone. So the project is now frozen. The East Wing has already been torn down. There is a construction pit next to the White House. Costs have gone from what was going to be 200 million, 250, 300 million. Now there's even talk of 325 or 350 million. And there is still, as of today, not a functioning, approved design for what they want to do. They tried to scramble to bring in a new architect from Washington, D.C. Doesn't fix the underlying problem, which is that Trump is demanding something that is physically unrealistic. He ignored every warning. He fired the one person who tried to stop this from becoming a disaster. And if the story sounds familiar, this is Trump's business history. I was thinking back to when Mitt Romney was the Republican nominee for president back in 2012. Barack Obama was easily reelected. Romney was, to be frank, he was not anywhere near the worst Republican candidate that they've put up there, but he didn't really make the case for kicking Obama out, given that things were going pretty fine. One of the arguments that was made with Romney from supporters of his was, we really need a businessman president. We need someone who thinks like a business person and who will run the country like a business. And one of the things that was often argued about was, is Mitt Romney a good business person? Because part of what he did was take companies apart and, okay, but let's step back from that for a second. A lot of us were saying, what proof do we have that good business people make good presidents? Running a business and running a country are two different things. And of course, we don't really have good evidence that business people make good presidents. And that is yet another thing we are reminded of with Donald Trump. But Trump was a particularly bad business person, and he'd have more money today if he had simply invested his inheritance in an index fund rather than done anything with it. And then we get into the details. Trump says, oh, I'm a great builder. I'm a great deal maker. Project after project of Trump's blows past budgets, ends in lawsuits, collapses under mismanagement. And that's what's happening with him as president. Trump loves big announcements. I'm making a major promise and getting a lot of attention, the spectacle, the cameras. Then the work starts. The competence now is required, and it all falls apart. He leases his name out to buildings he doesn't run and blames other people when it fails. He walks away from incomplete projects. He leaves investors and contractors and workers holding the bag, and he's doing the same damn thing with the White House. Now, there were people defending this when he started it, saying, we need a refresh. It's going to be great. It's going to look good. And a lot of those people are now saying this isn't seeming like a great idea. And what Trump has now saddled the country with, putting aside for a moment the disastrous tariff policy, the disastrous immigration policy, the failed foreign policy, put all of it aside. Just with the White House demolition, we have a half demolished presidential complex because Trump was obsessed with a gigantic ballroom. He couldn't be bothered to go through the process of evaluating the project, keeping it to historical standards, architectural actual evaluation and planning, tears it down. They have no final blueprint. The architect says this won't work, fires them, and now we've got no architect, no clear path forward, and a crater worth, I guess, $300 million in the sense of what it'll cost to replace it. That's the builder at work who would run the country like a businessman and fix everything. Destruction, no preparation, complete chaos. This is why we don't need someone like a Trump in the White House to begin with. A lot of people hit this point in December and realize I still need to find a thoughtful, genuine gift for someone on my list. And quickly, if that is you, Aura Frames can really help you out. Our sponsor, Aura, makes premium digital frames that beautifully display photos and videos. I've been using one myself for years. I've given Aura frames to my mom. I've given them to my dad. So many people. I preloaded them with baby photos and they love it because they turn it on the first time and the pictures are there. Aura makes it really easy, not only with the preloading of photos, but you can keep adding them throughout the year with the app. There is plenty of time to get an Aura frame shipped before Christmas, and you'll get $35 off their best-selling Carver mat frames when you go to auraframes.com and use the code Pakman at checkout. The link is in the description.